All right. Professor Beckstein says American Sign Language is the native language of many North Americans. Therefore, it is not a foreign language, and for that reason alone, no student should be permitted to satisfy the university's foreign language requirement by learning it. Okay, so we're saying that ALL is a native language, and since it's not foreign, it shouldn't be able to meet these requirements at this university. Okay, Professor Beckstein, I guess I don't like myself right now, but
I know.
okay.
Okay, and then according to your argument, students should not be allowed to satisfy the university's foreign language requirement by learning French or Spanish either, since they too are the native languages of many North Americans. Yet, many students currently satisfy the requirement by studying French or Spanish, and it would be ridiculous to begin prohibiting them from doing so. So now Professor Sedley is like, well, according to what you're trying to say to me right now, students shouldn't be taking French or Spanish either because people also speak French and Spanish in North America as well, and it's actually like part of our language. But all of these students are satisfying by studying French and Spanish.
She's like, so Spencer's like, you hypocrite. Like, look at what's happening over here.
Yeah.
You say no to them. Excellent. So whenever we read this question, it says Professor Sedley uses which of the following strategies of argumentation and responding. So we want to predict something here, which we kind of have already done, but just for practice, what does Professor Sedley do to what is his argument strategy?
He's basically saying like your argument is false and then giving him a reason why his argument is false.
Yeah,
Like
and
giving him another
what kind of reason why is it? Like how would you describe that reason?
because it's inaccurate.
I want to say he's not saying that his facts are inaccurate necessarily. Like, what does he use? Like, when I said the word hypocrite, he kind of shows like why he's it's contradicting, right? It's like what
Yeah.
you're suggesting like isn't right, and also like it's like it doesn't apply to all situations. It's like your reasoning is I know I can't think of a better word than hypocritical.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and start with A.
So Professor Studley is attempting to demonstrate that the reasoning used to reach a certain conclusion leads to another conclusion that is undesirable. No, that doesn't really. There's no undesirable conclusion. So A is wrong. B, Professor Studley is trying to show that a certain conclusion contradicts some of the evidence used to support it. Okay, B is kind of nice. I'm gonna keep B. The Professor Sedley is questioning an opponent's authority to address the issue under discussion. No, his authority has nothing to do with it. He's wrong. Professor Sedley is offering an alternative explanation of the facts used to arrive at a specific conclusion. I always get stuck on these freaking questions.
Okay.
I feel like these.
Let's really break it down by one. So you've crossed which one? You've crossed off A and C, right?
Yep.
Okay. So here we're saying offering an alternative explanation of the facts used to arrive at a specific conclusion. So do we give an alternative explanation of the facts that Professor Beckstein uses to arrive at a specific conclusion?
So when I think about it, I think, okay, so Professor Beckstein is saying that this language isn't a foreign language, so they shouldn't learn it. And then Professor Sedley is giving an alternative explanation, technically saying why.
I would agree with you. Yes, but what is the alternative explanation referring to?
It's like the opposite of what his conclusion is saying.
Yes. So are we doing it to, okay, so oftentimes when this answer is correct, you'll have someone say something like, I don't disagree with your conclusion, but your reasoning is wrong because, or something along those methods. Does that make sense? Like what I'm like?
It's the specific conclusion that bothers me because technically that specific conclusion could have been what Professor Beckstein was saying too, right? But I just need to understand that to arrive at a specific conclusion is not like it's not what Professor Sedley is going to do.
Because we're offering an alternative explanation. And we're not even even if we dive into this more, we're not offering an alternative explanation of the facts. We're actually like just bringing in an alternative like example almost. It's not an alternative. It's almost like not an explanation in that and how we're using it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like an alternative explanation of the facts. That's like saying like, oh, like A killed B. They're a murderer. And I'm like, oh no, actually B was attacking A and it was self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm offering a different explanation of the fact. Like I'm not saying that she didn't kill him. I'm just offering a different explanation of those facts.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So what
Okay.
about
And
E?
then agreeing with the conclusion of a particular argument while rejecting the evidence used to support the conclusion. Oh, he doesn't really agree with his
No, we
conclusion.
don't agree with it at all. His agreement is it should not be permitted.
Yeah.
We can cross E off. Okay. So let's go back and look at A and B. Not to give it away. But
Okay, so attempting to demonstrate that the reasoning. Do you want me to read B first?
let's go to B first. Yeah.
Okay. So Professor Sedley is trying to show that a certain conclusion contradicts some of the evidence used to support it.
So does our conclusion contradict the evidence?
No.
I think you like some of the words in this answer choice, but whenever we
Mm-hmm.
break, so this is like I think going down to the details as well of like the whole answer has to be right. The second that it goes off track, it's wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
so to show that a certain conclusion contradict. Okay, yeah. So this would be like if I said all cows are green, therefore I'm gonna go buy a blue cow. Like my conclusion contradicts my evidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
We actually bring in something new to show that his reasoning isn't like what's been proven before. So B is that's why B is wrong. Does that make sense why B is wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. And so then why is A correct?
A is attempting to demonstrate that the reasoning used to reach a certain conclusion leads to another conclusion that is undesirable. Okay, so I understand the first part, attempting to demonstrate that the reasoning used to reach a certain conclusion, because he's trying to say, hey, like Professor Beckstein, this is not really true, like
Yeah.
whatever.
We
But then leads to
say,
another
hey,
conclusion.
so up until that point, we say, hey, the reasoning you use to reach this conclusion, we're good on that. Like we're like, hey, your
Yeah,
reasoning, Professor Bikestein, cool.
yeah. Leads to another conclusion that is undesirable.
So what
That
would that be?
so is the other conclusion, students should not be allowed to satisfy the university's foreign languages by like doing the French or Spanish. Oh, it would be ridiculous to do. Okay.
He says, yeah, he's saying like, hey, your reasoning that you're using to get to that conclusion would also prohibit this here, and that's ridiculous.
Okay. So see, I see these questions all the time on method where it's like leads to another conclusion that is undesirable, and I never actually understand what the question, like the answer choice means. So the fact that you've now stated that, I think
Yes.
it'll be a little bit like a light bulb went on.